Almost live. We are live. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Alba. We are live.
We are after a bit of a struggle with connectivity. But hey, how does it get even better than that? Welcome, welcome. It's wonderful to have you guys playing with me today. I'm having so much fun. Helen and Alba Molteni and Rachel. And how does it get even better? Welcome to
Thank you.
Conversations on Being. Totally freeform, totally unstructured, totally enjoyable playtime with different Being You certified facilitators and talking about favorite tools, our favorite experiences. What made us become Being You certified facilitators?
How our lives change. What can we bring to the world from being you facilitated, from being us? It's all the topics, whatever we choose. And how
Perhaps
much
even affecting the world with a little more lightness and a little more joy and a little more ease and just being willing, perhaps even just a little bit, to just be.
I
So
actually, I actually love that. There were so many things when I was growing up that I would see people choose that would be so far away from my own reality or my own even awareness. Like, wow, you can really do that. You can choose that. You can choose to do that and be like that. Is that a way to answer? Like even from the simplest things. Um, I think it's very inspiring that we get to meet people that actually choose to be them and they're comfortable in their own skin. I don't think there's a lot of that in the world. So how does it get any better? Let's go for it.
yeah, let's go for it. I love that. Comfortable in your own skin. That and you're heading out to a, skin and body class, and you just translated a body class. And I haven't been to a body class in way too damn long. It would be really awesome. Can't wait to get to a physical class where, we get to touch one another. But a lot of that, even in that, how much do we hide our being based even on our bodies or not being comfortable in our own skin? How much do we use that as hiding?
You're muted, Helen.
it's interesting. And how much are we actually muting ourselves? Kind of like lowering our volume not to be ourselves.
Yeah.
Because that's because when you said comfortable in your own skin, a lot of times before access, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I would filter what I would say. I would mute myself instead of actually turning up the volume. I love what Dane says and Gary says, in the face of judgment, just
Turn
turn
it
up
up.
the volume.
Yeah.
And I would shut down instead and mute myself. So how
Well,
much, yeah.
even before we went live, Helen and I were having a conversation about how many body classes are happening in Mexico and have been happening in the last maybe 2 or 3 months. And she was saying, well, some classes can contribute to each other. And this difference of actually not, I mean, one of the 10 keys to freedom is no competition. Like if you do no competition, then you can
Uh-huh.
receive in a totally different way. Even people that do exactly the same, like we are three BY facilitators, we can teach the same classes, and instead of going into the wrongness and the separation or the difference, we choose to play together. And this energy of being willing to not turn it up, even turn it up even more,
Uh-huh.
how that an invitation for everyone to also be able to receive more and to have more gratitude and to include what's really going on around in the world. I mean, I was asking Helen, hey, how's the vibe in Miami right now? Things must be interesting. And she's like, yeah, how does it get any better than that? And I'm like, I'm in Mexico. And even yesterday, just jumping in to check the results, for those 3 seconds that I was online, I got the intensity. Like my body was
Yeah.
there, like, when I was like, okay, apparently things are not EJG totally. So how does it get any
No. What space could we be to invite? And really, this is what you were saying, comfortable in your own skin, is recognizing that you're aware. You don't have to shut off your awareness. You perceive it. You realize it ain't me. I may be feeling all that shit, but it isn't necessarily me. And then to recognize that, we can maybe, just like it's like there's this huge broadcast station, radio antenna, whatever, that's in the middle of the United States right now, or whatever it is. Maybe it's in other parts of the world too, but it's just like, rah, rah, red, blue, struggle, separation, country divided, and all these other messages that are causing this and angst and separation. And how does it get any better? What else is possible? What if more of us would be willing to say, well, what else could we keep choosing beyond this? How could we use whatever shows up to create greater possibilities? Like, what if we reversed the flow, and instead of just like, I don't even want to hear it or see it or be around it or whatever, what if we could be just so much joy and lightness and space and the unangst that rather than being muted, rather than freaking muting ourselves all the time, or freezing ourselves all the time, or hiding ourselves all the time, what if we be, lots of us, more of us? You were saying no competition. Well, bring it on. What would it take to have 5,000 Being You certified facilitators around the world, or more? And so many more people walking and being and expressing these tools. What would that change?
Yeah.
And we know that
and what if it was like thousands of classes going on at the same moment?
Yeah.
And how much of all of them will contribute to each other, and how much change can we create?
The whole planet would be different.
Yeah.
Because what if we, instead of competing with each other, what if we could, one of the commandments or keys to freedom is, what if we actually competed with ourselves?
Well, it's the only person we really can compete with. Like, I mean, Alba was saying, and that's called outcreation, at least in Access Talk. Well, Access Island, we have our own language here, but that's the only person that you can choose to step beyond. Because Alba was saying we're all facilitating similar classes. So yes, you could go to a bars class with Helen or Rachel or Alba, or a Being You class with Helen or Rachel or Alba, or a foundation class or whatever. But the class, even if you go to 3 bars classes or foundation classes or Being You classes facilitated by the very same facilitator, would be totally different. And they'd be such gifts. And that's for me, the gift of being. I cannot stay the same all the time, nor can anyone else.
That's why the requirements now for the bars classes to have 3 different facilitators, for body process facilitators like the mini classes, you have to have 2 different facilitators, and for to become certified as a 3-day facilitator, 3-day body facilitator, 3-day body class facilitator, cannot even talk now, you have to have 3 different facilitators, because you get different facilitation with each different facilitator. You get different clearings, you get different energy. And right before we went on the air, Alba and I were talking how different the classes with Shannon was compared to other facilitators, and Glenna's classes, and Andrew and Anthony. All of us are different.
Yeah.
And that's the gift we bring to things. I mean, each one of us, I don't know, lots of different visuals going through my head right now, but it's like a rolling stone gathers no moss. So, but each one of us is a different gift. We keep rolling around. We have different experiences. We bring different things to the table, so to speak. We touch people in different ways.
And even the tools that we have, we can present it in a different way depending on the people who are in class. We can explain it in so many different ways. For me, one of the things that has been so amazing about Access is each time I get like a new piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
From the same thing. It's like, wow. So evolves all the time, it shifts all the time, and it brings more awareness, more clarity on how can I use this tool to be greater. And
Yeah.
since we're talking about being you, it's you, at least for me, this last 2 days, I was not aware of things that for me were so common, because that's the perspective of I've always had
Mhm.
in my life. And we were talking about, my boyfriend is a prankster of magnitude, and yesterday I went to the OBGYN, and he took a picture, and you can see an ultrasound, me, and right. And so he just posted it and said, how does it get any better than that? And he didn't answer anything about everyone projecting and expecting and assuming and questioning. People that know him were like, you're just kidding. People who are my friends were like, whoa, 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 what are we
Yeah,
looking at? Can you please give me more information? You better not to assume anything.
yeah.
And what I was realizing is, like, this part about having children and the way that I see relationships have been so different since I was very young. Since I was young, I remember being with my cousins, and they were maybe like 17, 18. They already had an idea that they wanted to get married, how many children they wanted to have, where would they want to, like, what kind of party, because in Mexico we throw a big fiesta, when you get
Yeah.
um and for me, I was
Huh?
like, I couldn't even wrap my head, like, how do you know what kind of wedding do you have? How do you know what kind of husband would you like to have? How do you know that he's going to behave like? How do you know you want children? I was like, so it was so bizarre for me having that idea. And for them, it was like clear, crystal clear. Both of them got married. One has 3 children. The other one has 4. I stayed single. I haven't had any children, and I am.
You
Have you?
do. It's a four-legged soul. I saw pictures. She's
Well,
beautiful.
we have a zoo in my house right now. I'm seeing a crocodile, a small crocodile that Lucas bought, and then we have a turtle, and then yesterday he bought like 5 fishes more. We have an aquarium coming, but we have 2 dogs.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's the kind
Well,
of
you have
At my house.
four-legged babies.
Yeah,
yeah.
we're about to get the fish. The aquarium's being set up. After this, I'm supposed to be helping set up over there. We've got the 4 turtles going, 3 cats, a dog. And yeah, the tequasina is no longer with us. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
So,
Yeah, and it's
but
fun.
that's also being aware of what works for you. Like, there's no wrong if in then getting married like they said they would, and having the children like they said they would. I'm just saying, if you are aware that it's really a choice, that you
Yeah.
are really choosing because that creates greater, because your life gets better, not because you're supposed to, not because you should. Very early on in the relationship that I have right now, I was asking a question in Rome, believe it or not, this year, even though it sounds like it or feels like it was like 3 years ago. And I was asking something, I don't remember what, but Gary said, well, are you willing to lose him? Or have you decided that you need to stay with him just because you started a relationship? And I
Uh-huh.
realized, wow, nope, I have totally concluded that, because we, sorted things out, and because he is from Argentina, he lived in Argentina, and he's aware, so he left 3 days before lockdown in Argentina to come to see me. He was going to stay only for 2 months, and much longer than that. But we always have choice, and I think we do forget that it's so easy to just choose something different if it's not working. And forever who's listening to us right now, what if you didn't have to marry any idea that you had? Not even a business start, not even a relationship, not nothing. You can change every 10 seconds and see, like, okay, so if I really stick to this, what's that going to create? What kind of future would I have if I stick to this? And if I don't, then what? No, not from right or wrong, just from different, just from play. Like
Yeah.
you were saying it at the very beginning, Rach.
And it changes things all the time when you're willing to have that flexibility. everything can be changed, and it's absolutely fantastic. And one of the tools that I use a lot is I destroy and uncreate everything I am, everything I've been, everything I've ever chosen or thought or decided or whatever. Just like everything I be, every relationship, I just go bye-bye. I don't do it every day. I do it most days, and it's affected my memory in really interesting ways, because I don't even remember, like half some of the stuff that I'm, other people go, you don't care about that anymore, or that's not a thing anymore. No, there isn't that tied down angst to whatever that thing is. And so there's far more ease in being. There's far more fluidity when we're not having to hold on to, I have to be like this, or this person has to fit this perfect slot in my slot machine and, be the right one for me, or anything else, be it a business or anything. So I'm wondering, Alba, how did you get to the Being You tools? I know you got to Access, but what brought you, also Access, because Access, the Being You tools come from Access. So what pulled you into the wild and wonderful world of being?
It was the awareness that all the specialty classes have like a different. I knew that the conversations that we were going to have in the facilitator class were going to be very different. And I was like, I want to know what they talk about. It made me wonder, like, what other information are they going to be sharing there? And like the example that for me, of course, it was normal not wanting children or not wanting a typical family, because I was very clear on that. Like, I didn't even have a second thought. And it's interesting. I chose parents. My dad is French. My mom is Mexican. My dad married 4 times. He had kids with 3 different women. And my mom only married this. She only had the partner, or that last partner, for whatever the last amount of years. And they split out and whatever. But it was a contrast every time that I would ask for any kind of information. They would both have so different perspectives. My dad's so liberal. My dad, so you do whatever the fuck you want, just take care of the mess if you make a mess after you choose. And my mom wanted to wrap me in bubble wrap so everything would be okay and I would not be hurt and whatever. So it was very interesting to always be choosing in between like extremes, completely opposite extremes. I remember the first time that I asked my dad, hey, my boyfriend is inviting me to the beach. Can I go? And I was super young at that age. Maybe I was like, well, not super young, but maybe like 19, 20. And he was like, I don't give a fuck. Do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, can I go? And he's like, well, ask your mom. I don't have a problem, but you know that she's the one that needs to give you permission, because maybe she's going to have a different saying on this.
Perspective.
Exactly. And my mom was like, are you sure? Who's going? Are you going to stay only with him? I was a virgin back there. So she was like really wanted me to be aware of, like, if you go to the beach, everything, you can make different choices and blah, blah, blah. And I ended up not going. I don't remember why. Like, it wasn't because of either one of them. But these Being You tools have made me aware of how different all the choices that I've made along my life, and they've all been because of that. They've all been because I'm aware of what my preference is, what I would like to live. And I think I remember when I got to Access, like, it would be a completely different world if people had these tools, because not everything has been easy, not everything has been shits and giggles all the time. But with Access, with every tool that I have, everything that I get stuck with, or that is not being pleasant, or that is annoying, it changes in a heartbeat, instead of 1 month or 2 months or 3 months of dragging the same idea or the same problem over my head. So Being You for me was just another forum, just another. I get that these specialties have like their own entity, their own energy, their own way of expressing. So the Being You is so everywhere. It's in every conversation that you have. Like for me, after I became BYCF, I was like, it's like giving BYCF or being you classes all the time. Just we
Yep.
don't call it like that. But the tools are there all the time.
Being you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
So
so
that's
fun.
how I found it. Yep.
I
So that I love that. And I love the different perspectives on the relationship, because being you in a relationship is also so different. Because I've been in a few relationships, including 2 marriages and engagement, where I was trying to fit in with that person, cutting off parts of me. And that's not creative. This is more like a destructive for both partners. Because
Yeah.
I think part of what destroyed the relationship was me trying to fit in there.
I think it wouldn't just destroy the relationship, it would probably destroy you long
Yeah, it
term
did.
also, because it doesn't give you any of that space to be you, none of that just ease, like actually like taking a breath and being, as you said before, comfortable in your own skin. You can't do that when you keep trying to contort to, ow, your nails hurt, ouch.
See, she doesn't contort.
No, she does
Nails
not
is
contort.
fine. Yeah.
And that's one of the gifts of animals as well. It's really interesting to see, you see beings so clearly in animals rather than all the fixed points of view that humans tend to have of trying to please everybody else. They'll do, like, this one's a brilliant facilitator. Also, she enjoys participating in bars classes or exchanges or anything. She's right there to create some sort of change or contribution in the energy, and it's really cool. But there was somewhere I was going, and I forgot where I was going. So I'm just
Because they don't cut and mutilate themselves. Animals facilitate us to be us. It's about shifting and changing, but yet if they have the nails, they'll walk on you with their nails. If they hit, like, I miss my cat, who is now with Rachel, and apparently
not me, Rachel. Her daughter, Rachel.
my daughter Rachel, and she is a 7-pound alpha. There's 2 more cats there, and she doesn't care. She hisses at both of them and puts them in the place, which is kind of like, wow, this
With
little
no
thing. She's like tiny, but she is not tiny.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You said 7-pound alpha, and I get we are so much more than kind of the pretense or even the agreement. Like, there are some people, I don't know, this just kind of popped in my world, who want to just seem massive. And this may have been a choice that I made in some lifetime too. So I'm no longer, I used to be a tiny, tiny, skinny, like a waif of a person, of a girl. And somehow it's just, like, no, I'm here.
Yeah.
How often do we think that our body has to be like a reflection of a certain energy rather than being that energy, and allowing our body to be what our body chooses and would like to be, without like bullying it into being anything specific? What would that be like?
Yeah. Oh, listening to the body. That's an interesting thought. Because a lot of people don't even think about it. They literally is like, oh, body is just a meat suit or sinful, or they totally dismiss it, while it has a consciousness of its own.
And
And
contributes to our being and being
mhm,
in the world.
we cannot function without the body. And it's part of being who we are,
and
being
it
in
has
the
a
body.
different awareness. And it has a different awareness than the being has. I mean,
Mhm.
for me, being receiving the contribution, the awareness, I've played sports all my life, basically. I've done
Mhm.
all kinds of sports as well. And it was super fun to notice how my body would act before it was required because it knew what was coming. Say in a game, in a move. I played flag football for 8 years, and I would notice that my body started running towards where the game or the play was going to be before the play actually unfolded. So it was like, how did you know? Thank you for making me run towards that direction.
Mhm.
And maybe for sports with me it's more clear, but there's been so many other places and situations where my body was like, are you sure you want to choose that? I remember distinctly, I was like 15 years old, and there was a guy, someone that my family knew, that told us, hey, I can fix your computer, just give it to me, I'll fix it up and I'll give it to you as brand, like if it was new. And when we were there in the patio giving him the computer, I had such a different, my body was so uncomfortable. I was like, what is it? Like, should we not give it to him? What is going on? He's supposed to be someone that we trust. He never returned it. He did take it away. He just, I don't know,
Disappear.
disappeared.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was to know that after that, my parents and me spoke, and we both had the same feeling. We both, the three of us, were super uncomfortable, not super doubtful. We're like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And our
Mhm.
bodies were the ones that were the loudest, like, you fuckers, you're gonna lose the computer if you hand it out. And we did. So now I know, like, now I really do you check in with my body before, like, hey buddy, is this gonna be cool, is it gonna be okay, especially with things that it relates to it. But not only like this, hey, if I hired this person, buddy, how would that be like, what
Yeah.
would that create,
Yeah.
would that create a greater future or not?
Yeah.
So those are questions to play with every situation I get.
And to trust that you know. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things, and that's really cool. That's really cool that we have this amazing buddy to communicate with that gives us so much information. Like you were saying, that kind of that twist, and you could physically perceive it with your body, but also that knowing that you know. And I'm fascinated by something. Did you grow up speaking French as well?
I understand French, kinda. My dad had never had the patience to actually speak to me in French, so the French that I know, I learned from visiting my brother who lives in the Pyrenees. And it was
Mm.
funny because one of the first times that I really spent time with him, they were actually raising her first kid, who was at the time maybe a year or a year and 3 months. So they were teaching her to speak, and I was paying attention. I was like, what was the word again? What was the word again? And it's actually been very good. And with access tools, yeah, it's been
Yeah,
very easy to
much
translate.
easier.
And
Yeah,
especially being the translator, you can, like a lot of translators I know have such a capacity with languages.
yeah. It was very funny. Last year, I was in Australia for the CF class at the end of the year, and I traveled with a Dutch translator as well. We traveled for 1,200 kilometers along the coast of Australia. And
Hmm.
she was speaking Dutch with her friends. I don't speak a single word of Dutch. I don't even know how to say hi in Dutch. And I would follow the whole conversation. I would get the jokes. I would laugh. It would make sense. I was like, this is pretty rad. I've never ever been so transliterate as to not understand a single word but get the whole conversation. And it happened throughout all the trip. I was like, buddy, you're amazing. I don't know how you're doing it, but thank you for giving me the information about what they're talking about.
That's so
Fantastic.
cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah,
I
because Body has such a gift with everything. It like, and I like science. Remember that movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? And What the Bleep Down the Rabbit Hole? They did an experiment.
About
That,
that.
yeah, but they did an experiment. I don't remember which one, where they would stimulate the body and stimulate the brain, seeing which respond faster. And their hypothesis would be that if you stimulate brain directly where the nerve is, it would be faster because it's a halfway to travel. Turn out to be no. It's actually much slower when you stimulate the brain versus you stimulate the body and the body jerks. Like if you kind of like poke the body jerks instantly. It
Mhm.
almost predicts it that it will get hurt. It's aware
Yeah.
versus the brain, our mind, not necessarily is as aware as the actual body.
That's cool. I never knew that.
Yeah,
But
I was fascinated by that experiment because it's just like thinking is much slower than knowing.
Yep, that's
It's
for sure.
our awareness is so much faster.
and I love in the knowing versus the thinking and having to try to fit in to a particular culture, particular way of living, particular, like you were saying, Alba, with your mom being more strict and more, trying to protect you and bubble wrap you and probably, add multiple layers there, and your dad being so different, and
Yeah.
the cultures that you have, the French aspect, the Latin aspect. It's like you cannot be pigeonholed into.
Yeah. And I grew up in the border of the United States, which is completely different than the center and the south part of Mexico. It's like a culture in itself. So most people, when they hear me speak in Spanish, they're like, "Where are you from? Which country?" Like, they cannot even tell that if I am Mexican or if I'm not Mexican. They're
I
like,
think that's one
"How
of
do
the reasons I enjoy hearing you translate, because I
you-"
listen sometimes in Spanish, and your translations are
Thank you.
right on. I love them. Is there isn't the people ask me, like, where did you grow up in the United States? Well, I only learned English when I was about 11 years old. I spoke Hebrew beforehand. And of course, we all had energy to begin with before that. But I learned English by watching Scooby Doo
Yeah.
and cartoons and things like that. And yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up in Texas, but I never got the Southern people go, you don't sound like you're from Texas. No,
No.
I sound like I'm from TV land.
Yeah. But
That's funny.
that isn't it that amazing? Like how many talents could we like unleash in our lives if we were willing to just trust our bodies, if we were willing to listen to it and to follow what it knows without having any sort of conclusion. In this 3 day body class with Shannon this weekend, I was asking questions because something was like off with my, like my IDU. Like it was creating some sort of havoc in my body. And I was like,
IUD. Yeah.
IUD,
Mhm.
that one. And so Shannon asked me, well, does your body want it? And I'm like, I get no. And then she was like, well, what kind of contraceptives would your body like? And I'm like, none. Like if I really look at it, it's like none. And I was like, damn, then I'm gonna have to take the pill of awareness every time I go to sexy time because I need to be aware because I don't want to have any kids. And if my body doesn't want to have anything, then I need to be aware and have and use other tools. But that's where I was like, that's a leap of not faith. It's a leap of awareness that if you're willing to have, then your body's gonna have way more ease. And how many of us, I mean, for years I stalled that choice because I was like, nope, I don't wanna be, like having to take care of myself in a different way. And the other contraceptives were not really working for my body. They were making me mad, they were making me sort of crazy for like 2 or 3 months. Like it wouldn't really work. So
Yeah.
as soon as I started noticing, like if I don't need to force it and I am just aware of body, what do you require, then how much more awareness can you receive and listen to and actually pay attention if you really didn't have a point of view of how that information could show up.
So you mean you get out of autopilot and you actually tune in and get aware? What a
Exactly.
concept.
And
Exactly.
actually choosing
Yeah,
and
exactly.
choosing for you
Exactly. And for the body.
and for
Because
the body, yeah.
we
Because
were not
actually,
having a funny time. Sorry.
But I found if you choose against the body is not happy, I'm not happy.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Yeah.
Nope.
Does not make living on this planet with a body any fun when you go against it all the time. But when you utilize it as like you play with it, you actually you honor it, and you let it be this brilliant and amazing like GPS almost,
Yep.
that shows you the lightness and the joy and the wonder and what it is that it desires. It feels so much better. You have a much richer experience of everything. And you know what? Even sexy time would be so much more fun when you're aware and you're present and you're enjoying everything and you're there to be able to contribute and play and explore. It's a totally different experience than, yeah, I'm checked out and I'm thinking about the laundry or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, or, yeah.
Well, and we've all been there as well, thinking
Yep.
about the laundry. Or so, what are we doing after this? Like, as soon as you're done, can you let me know? That's no sexy time. That's boring time, actually.
That's
Yeah.
boring time. It's an obligation and not a choice, is what Helen was saying. We get to choose with our bodies. So how much more fun can we have with our choices? So what's your favorite? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So, what's your favorite tool? Is that what you're going to ask?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
My favorite tool in general, like in the whole world.
Well, I
Sure.
suppose we could go there too. I was just thinking like
you
or
too.
access, but you know, there could be all sorts of interesting, even sexy time tools. Anything. We'll go where you want to go. I mean, this is being
Well,
you
And we can
conversation.
do this physical tools or emotional or
You name it, we'll play it.
Well, I was just like, do I really need to pick only one? I don't know. I
No,
guess.
you could give us a couple, you know, or anything that you'd like.
Yeah.
more.
Um. Wow. I guess it's not really a tool, but I really do enjoy like exploring the what else, the what now, the where can I put my energy on, or what does require my attention. But this leapfrog, this really contributing more, this being more aware, this asking for more information, and really playing with how can this awareness be obvious in my life. I remember, um, even when I was. Do you remember the movie Pocahontas? Did any of you
Mhm.
watch the cartoon?
Yes.
It was
Yes.
one of my favorites. Watched it a million times. And this scene,
I
remember
can't
where
say that
he,
it was a million because it came out when, you know,
well,
I
yeah,
got a few years on you, honey.
well,
Yeah, but I was watching it with my
With
daughter,
me.
so
exactly. So remember this scene where she's actually speaking with a willow tree,
Yes. The
that
grandmother.
the grandmother, and that she's actually showing her how can she understand what John Smith is saying, like as soon as he arrived. And she was like, no, you can't understand him. And so she became transliterate and was able to understand his language. But in that scene, there's so many things that she's making her aware of, that you can receive the information and the awareness from everything and from everyone. So I've been playing lately with, what if it doesn't, what if I am really willing to receive the awareness that I need from everything and from everyone?
I love that.
yeah.
And what are you noticing when you're playing with that?
It is this more clear way of how can every molecule contribute to you into your life. Like wherever you really put your attention on, it'll just call you. So yesterday Lucas left and he was supposed to be only buying two fish that we needed, so it was we would have cleaner tanks. He
Mhm.
came back with a dozen more animals, right? And so I was looking and I was like, are you sure that these fish are going to be okay living with a crocodile? Like, I have no idea about crocodiles. I'm not even sure what kind of fish they eat or not. And he was like, no, it'll be okay. He won't eat those. And he'll get tired of trying to chase them because they are much quicker than he is. And I was like, okay. So I kept looking and I noticed one of the fishes was completely bonkers. He was completely freaked out. He every time that he would feel something like touching him, he
Moving.
would go, oh my god! You know, like that
Mhm.
movie Finding
The-
Nemo.
yes,
Like
like
he wants
Dora, whatever, the bluefish.
yeah.
Dora, yeah.
So I was like, dude, I don't think that's gonna work. He's not that fish is not gonna have a fun time staying in that one. So I left whatever, did my things, and then when I came back, he's like, I actually moved her to the turtle one. Yeah, I did notice that she was too edgy. So right now I have them right in front of me, and I'm like, how how much do we allow ourselves freak out because of the freak out that someone else has?
Yeah.
So that's reminding me also, like, hey, don't buy anyone's freak out. So it's information that I'm receiving while listening to you, while being present with you. But everything can happen simultaneously. You don't need to cut your awareness. You actually need to allow to be aware of everything that is playing with you in your life at the same time. So I wonder if we really didn't need structure, if we could just play with receiving the information from everything and from everyone, then how much more ease could we create in our lives with everything?
That would be phenomenal. Can you imagine how, I mean, to me, I live on a ravine, so it changes all the time. It looks different. The view is, people would say the same because I'm looking out in the same direction, but I notice the changes all the time. And for me, sometimes I'm like in tears of gratitude at the wonder of this wisp of a cloud that's going past that's different. Or
Yeah.
when we're willing to receive from everything, there's so much that I don't even know how to say it. Like, the world is so brilliant with everything that's coming alive, and it's alive, but we've just done a lot of na 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 na, I'm all alone here, rather than you being willing to perceive it and receive it and sense it in a different way.
Yeah, totally.
What a gift it is to be alive like that, receiving from everything. Wow.
It would be a different world.
I love that. That's beautiful. And it doesn't have to look a particular way. Like, you're willing to be transliterate with everything and receive from everything. And I remember when I first became a facilitator in 2011, this guy from Paraguay reached out to me because there weren't many Spanish speaking facilitators at the time. And I wasn't much of a Spanish speaker at the time either, not now either, but more so now than I was then. But he refused to watch videos of Dr. Dane because they weren't in Spanish.
Yeah.
I said, I'd be willing to hear him in any language, or I'd be willing to hear if I get that something's going to be a contribution, whether it's Japanese or Korean or Russian or whatever. I'm happy to, bring it on. The more the merrier. Not this, if it doesn't come my way, I'm not willing to receive the gift that this thing could be.
Yeah, but how different are you in that sense that you're actually willing to have it all? That's not something that is typical. People are more used to, like, if it doesn't come in this package that I've already decided that's going to create the most, then I'm
Yeah.
not able to receive anything. I was doing a Facebook live yesterday or the day before yesterday in Puerto Vallarta, and I was talking about bodies, and I was like, how much do we stop receiving just because we define ourselves by our sexual preferences? Like, do you
Mhm.
really receive from women just because you like men in the bedroom? Like, do you really receive a woman that just is beautiful right in front of you? Like, can you receive some of her magic just by watching her? You don't need to do anything about it. But even receiving that is a completely different thing. People would be like, but why are you checking out a woman if you're not into women? Because she's beautiful. That's it.
Yeah. And when you admire something in someone else, you've got that in you, because otherwise it wouldn't be the thing that's catching your attention. And so it's this, like we started out speaking about not, the 10 keys and one of them being no competition and not doing that. It isn't about competition. It's about like, go sister, and wow, look at how beautiful. And that gives me this delight where I could, glow also. And when you were saying about receiving, I remember very clearly being, in the hot pool in Arenal Manoa in Costa Rica, and just walking into the hot pool. And it was, one evening, and, there were people sitting by the bar, and I just walked off into, one of the other corners there by where there's a like a waterfall. It's like, oh my God, this is just, oh wow, this gift to every fiber of my being. And it didn't even have to be another person or just this receiving indiscriminately. And maybe it has to do with being like straddling different worlds. Like you can't pigeonhole me into, she's Middle Eastern, she's Israeli. I've just had arguments with the Israeli government. Like, don't label me as anything, because I'm not Israeli and I'm not American. I'm a human being. I'm not sure. That may be debatable too. but you can't stick me in a little box, stick a label on me and go, boom, you're that. Because really? I don't feel like that. I don't feel like I belong to any of these boxes. And you, with multicultural parents and living in different areas and experiencing so much. And I see Helen also, with the Russian and the American and other different experiences. It's like we don't pigeonhole ourselves into, it has to come through this one tunnel, this one path.
Totally.
What a gift it is,
It is. It is. And it's just about literally not having any labels.
Yeah, but you have no idea how much I suffered, like being a kid, being picked on for having a foreign accent and in Texas, and, oh, you sound like a foreigner and we don't want to have anything to do with you, kind of thing. And
how about being a Jew in Russia?
Yeah.
That was kind of like a label in itself, so nobody can talk to you or speak to you or play with you.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because it was the same for me in Mexico. I moved when I was a kid. I moved like in 6 different states. So like my oldest friend had maybe 2 or 3 months that I met him because I moved from another school, and they would be like, "Oh no, you're from this city, so you're completely different." So it's bullshit. I mean, it's bullshit that we create. It's like the perfect excuse to make ourselves right and wrong without really noticing what can you contribute. We were having a blast. Someone posted a meme, and it was like a very seductive woman. It was just for her face, and said, I don't remember exactly how it was written, but the point of it all was people don't talk to me because they think I'm a know-it-all or I'm whatever, arrogant. And no one would talk to me. And then when they got to know me, they realized that it was a completely different thing that they had suspected. And 80% of my friends wrote in that same one, like, that's the story of my life. That's exactly what happened when I was growing up. And it still does. A year ago, someone told me, you're super arrogant. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm super arrogant? I don't see that about me. And then started having more of a conversation. He's like, you're arrogant because you get what you want. And I'm like, that's it?
Well, yeah, for more arrogance, baby.
Okay, then I can be arrogant.
Bring it on. But you could be arrogant anyway. You could be a bitch anyway. Does Lucas want to say hi?
We have a friend coming over. We have a party because Silvia Puentes has a class this weekend, and we're gonna have a full house. So he was just letting me know, like, Fred is here.
Cool. So we won't keep you much longer. I just wanted to thank you because it's so much fun. This is actually for me and okay, so back up. Helen and I, when we became Being You certified facilitators over the summer, we wanted to see being you from different angles, from different being you facilitators with different experiences that they have and different joys that they have and different adventures that they have and just different ways of being, and it's kind of like, don't pigeonhole anybody into this is what a whatever does. And so what a gift it is to have these conversations, and thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Helen, for taking time, even though you're about to be facilitating and you're about to be throwing a party, for joining us and having this exploration, because it is fucking phenomenal to have more of us walking on the planet, being relaxing, being comfortable in our own skin, while being and doing and creating and changing and contributing in so many different ways and so many different flavors. So thank you so much.
Au contraire. Thank you so much, Rachel. It was so much fun. And I am so glad that you're actually choosing to do all these, because I'm pretty sure that we may not know how it's going to show up, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be a contribution for more than one person in the world. Thank you so much, ladies.
Fantastic. It is our pleasure. And Alba, how can people find you? I know how they can find me and Helen. I put that on the bottom. For you, I have Facebook and WhatsApp, and not WhatsApp, Facebook and the Access Consciousness website. Do you have a website that people could?
albamolteni.com.
Okay. Cool.
You can check me out there.
Hang on a second. We'll have it go on the bottom.
Just to make sure that people can find you.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Oh, done. You're welcome, Marianela. So, Marianela and somebody who is in Israel who wrote in Hebrew saying thank you. So, see, we never know where around the world we reach. So thank you very, very much. And it's been a real gift and a contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.